Now, all this week, we've been reflecting on how Britain has been changed by the Paralympics. They represented a defining moment, celebrating the success of people with disabilities. But 6 weeks on, in our Legacy to Stand On series, we've been asking whether life has actually become any easier for disabled people. Well, in a moment, we'll be asking exactly that and discussing those issues with our panel of guests. But first, here's Katie Russell.
This week, we've spoken to victims of hate crime, witnessed the difficulties of travelling by plane, explored the effects of disability cuts and the prosthetic options for amputees. And we've been inundated with your stories on these issues. Many people related to Sophie Morgan's frustration of travelling by plane. Jane Harris tweeted, "Good experiences flying, other than crew referring to us as wheelchairs rather than passengers." Overall, your messages have conveyed the idea that it's better to be disabled now than in the past. But as we showed, not everyone gets a leg like Oscar Pistorius. It seems that disparity extends to other equipment too. Simon Green messaged, "I need a new wheelchair. One that will enable me to lead a full, active working life will cost around £5,000. Despite what most think, the NHS won't pay for this, just like it won't pay for a good false leg or arm." And David Gillen emailed us after our report about hate crime, saying the continual scrounger rhetoric directed at disability benefit recipients in the tabloid press with the insidiously destructive language of genuine disability and deserving poor has given the thugs a framework for their hatred, a framework supported by everyone who's been manipulated to say or think they're all at it or he's faking. Some of your messages have highlighted how the Paralympics are not as inclusive as they could be. Kerry Evans wrote, "Mental disability always fares worst. The Games concentrated on contestants with physical disabilities, and I have 2 autistic sons, and they are still excluded in the same way and at the best ignored." Sadly, but perhaps not surprisingly, the majority of comments about life if you're disabled have been negative. But there have been some positive stories too, and we decided to follow up a message from a special school in Northamptonshire. I went to meet pupils and the head teacher trying to change attitudes to disability.
We're not just faces in a window, in a bus. We are young people going about their daily business.
The youngsters from Wren Spinney Special School head off to work. Their school for children with severe learning disabilities is tucked away from view on the edge of Kettering in Northamptonshire.
It was a little bit like a sort of scene out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that these were youngsters that needed to be in a secure setting and they didn't go out. And we wanted to enable our young people to take their place, their rightful place, within their local community.
The Paralympics made disabled people the focus of public consciousness in a way and on a scale that had never happened before. Here in Kettering, a local initiative has been quietly doing a similar thing.
Because 3 years ago, Debbie Withers and her pupils turned entrepreneur. They're now the only school in the country with a shop run by disabled youngsters.
Jelly babies.
Chocolate bonbons.
Mint handbags.
Bonbons.
Love hearts.
At the sweet shop, the youngsters learn everything from counting and packing to basic accounting to serving the customers.
Can I have some sherbet pips, please?
It's about preparing them for work and life. Their disabilities mean they find change difficult to cope with. Here, they learn to feel comfortable with it.
I just did accounting.
OK, so you're the money man?
Yeah.
Is that because you're good at numbers?
Yes.
What do you do here?
Serving.
That's your job, serving?
Yeah.
And what kind of things do you serve?
Serving customers.
And what do you prefer, being at school or being in the sweet shop?
Sweet shop. They started off selling only 30 types of sweet. Now it's nearly 400. And after 3 years in the confectionery business, they're in profit. It might be bad for Kettering's teeth, but making these young people visible and active in the community is breaking down barriers.
Things can be very, very difficult for them, and they can be very frightened at some of the bullying that goes on, the hate crime that goes on. Hopefully, the more people learn about who we are and what we are, and that our young people are people first, that disability comes second, that, you know, the opportunities for people behaving in a negative way will lessen.
In Kettering, the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive.
What they're showing is that with their disabilities, they can still serve, smile, be polite and go to work.
It's an asset to the town, and a lot of people do go in there.
In the past, these youngsters might have been hidden away, and in many countries they still are. But here in Kettering, they're pioneering something that could be replicated across Britain, and they're about to sign the lease on another venture, this time a hairdresser's. So, is the UK in 2012 the best place to be disabled? And how much further is there to go?